Alright, it's still the 17th of April. I'm just going to do another quick video on Rig Manager and yeah, just a couple of little things that I meant to mention, because when I was talking about right-clicking on menus on the previous one where we were exporting the performances and so on, it was saying things like right-click for menus, left-click to rename, etc. Those things are obviously things that JAWS is telling me to do. So I just wanted to make that clear, because otherwise, if if you're exploring in there, it's not going to do that. So there is that. Anyway, on with this video. As we do, I've got NVDA loaded at the moment, actually. So
speech mode beeps, speech mode talk, new, speech checked, display.
Okay, here we go. So we
rigs.
are in Rig Manager. And what I'm going to have to do, because I wanted to update the library with one of my rigs. But if I were to paste this now, what's going to happen is it is going to paste the rig, okay, but it's going to give it the original name on the profiler, which I don't want it to do, because I actually renamed the rig so that I would know it was something that I'd worked on without modifying the other one. So anyway, let's just find one of these and make sure that I've got one of these.
Name row 0, not sorted. Edit ph clean bm, igniter 50.
ph, so ph clean bm, that's Bert Mullendijk. And I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to replace it with the updated version of that. So to delete it, I'm going to do Control Delete.
Data grid view table. Value row 1, edit ph clean bm, igniter 50, crunch row 2, column 2.
Now, what's happened is it's showing the values for the rig. So that's a bug, because this rig, I can tell you for sure,
editing control edit select.
This rig is no longer
Value
here.
row 1, edit ph clean.
And the other thing is you can't press escape, won't get you out of here. It's not going to help you at all.
Desktop list.
So I'm going to change screen readers now, having done that. But I was curious to see if it would react any differently with NVDA, but it doesn't, unfortunately. There we go. JAWS is now loaded. It's not pasted it yet, so let's try again.
Name row 5, not sorted. Name row 0, name row 5, not sorted. ph clean bm dash 50 crunch.
And I did the usual thing. I did the home key and then I did the end key and then the home key to get it to refresh the list. So there you go. You can see it's actually pasted now. It's actually gone at the bottom of the list, which is exactly what I would have expected it to do. Right, that's that. So I'm now going to go back and look at these performances and slots that they're in. So let's do that.
Left parent, my profile, right parent, dash
just run my little script again. Control Shift M.
My profile left parent 125 right parent.
Right, here we are. We're there now. So press the tab key.
Table performances left parent, my profile right parent, dash rig manager 3rd of May, slot 2.
If I left click, I think that's just going to change the performance. Actually, let me just try that.
Left click.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's done. So yeah, left clicking on a slot selects it unless you happen to be focused over the rig's name, which can happen. Then that can be an issue. It's just something to be aware of. The best way to rename a rig, though, is to actually go into the rigs menu and do it in there. And I've obviously done that because I've renamed all of my rigs slightly so that when I load them up, I can know that they're altered ones that I've actually done. Obviously, right-clicking on slots
comment checkbox not checked
gives us different options as well. So let's just have a quick look at that.
Right click, menu, preview and profile, enter, key.
Preview and profile. It's actually saying enter, but it's not. It's Control Enter is the keystroke, or Command Enter on the Mac.
Store in profile, Shift plus Enter.
Store in profile, Shift Enter.
Copy Control plus C. C.
Copy Control C.
Paste Control plus V.
Paste Control V.
Export Control plus E. E.
Export Control E.
Reset slot name to rig name. R.
Reset slot name to rig name.
Move up Control plus up. M.
Move up Control up.
Move down Control plus
Move down
M.
Control down.
Preview and profile, enter, P.
And there we are. We're back at the top of that menu.
Leaving menus.
So we'll get out of there now by pressing Escape. So let's find
slot 2. Left click to name. Right click for other options.
slot.
Left click. Cabinet edit. ph clean bm dash igniter 50 crunch. Performances left parent, my profile, right parent, dash rig manager 3rd of May 2000.
PM Igniter 50 Crunch.
Slot
Okay,
1. Left click
let's
to name.
go
Right click for
back
other
here.
options. Left click.
There we go. I had to just Alt-Shift Tab using Hotspot Clicker, which effectively is making a fake tab order. If at some point Kemper wanted to put these into tabs, that would be really appreciated. If we had all the slots and tabs at least, that would be very useful. Now the other thing I didn't mention, which was worth a mention, is in the last video that we did on this, the reason I went from slot 1 to slot 3 is because essentially they are the same rig, just slight modifications on that. So there's no real point in saving out or exporting out the same rig twice. because the only difference between my rig in slot 1 for this first bank of performances and the one in slot 2 is that the one in slot 2's got a chorus on it. Everything else is the exact same. So that was my thinking there. Right, let's explore some other little menus and things we've got here. So I've made a little script, Alt Control Shift R.
Rigs menu, context menu, N, no presets, N.
Again, this is a right click menu. So let's just come out of there and right click.
Right click, context menu, N, no presets, N. Lock input, L.
This is lock
input, L.
Lock input.
Lock all but input, L.
Lock all but input.
Unlock all, U.
Unlock all.
Undo all rig changes, U.
Undo all rig changes.
Clear all morphs, C.
Clear all morphs.
Copy, C.
Copy.
Rename rig, R.
Rename rig.
No presets, N.
And then we're back to the top of the menu there. No presets.
Leaving menus.
Now this is important because sometimes if you want to modify something, you're not able to because something's locked. So you may need to unlock all, which is what I tend to do when I'm starting to work on rigs and performances. I'll just come in here and unlock all. Now if we go to the output section with O and we press the little script thing that brings up the presets menu, you will see some very different things there.
Context menu, B. Basic Home Studio, B. Default, D.
Basic Home Studio default.
Dell in Mod R, R.
Dell in Mod R or something.
LibW/2 monitors, L.
Live with 2 monitors.
LibW/guitar cab, L.
Live with guitar cab.
Multitrack setup, M.
Multitrack setup.
S/PDIF, S.
SPDIF.
Wet/dry/wet, W.
Wet/dry/wet.
Basic Home Studio, B.
And there we go.
Leaving menus.
I don't actually use any of these presets at all, but I suppose it's worth knowing about. The other thing is if we OCR the screen on the output section, and this applies for any of these sections, slots, etc., we'll see some things on screen, such as...
Started, Microsoft OCR, finished, JAWS, delay, output, Morton, main output volume pad -12 D8 output link main base.
Main output volume.
Morton, main output volume pad -12 D8, main output volume, pad -12.
Pad -12,
D8,
which is what I've done.
output, linked, main,
output linked.
Bass,
middle, treble. So you can obviously adjust the bass, middle and treble, presence, etc. on the output section, which is separate to what you've got on the amp. Now, low cut, high cut, master stereo, which is obviously where it's being sent.
-B, stereo.
Probably if I click on that, it would give me different options.
Left click, context menu, off.
Yeah, there we go. Off.
DI low, D.
DI low,
DI
high,
stack,
stack,
mod left, M.
mod left,
mod
mono,
mod stereo,
mod stereo,
master left, M.
master left,
master mono, M.
master mono,
master stereo checked,
master
M.
stereo,
DLY/wet,
so DL high/wet or whatever it said.
off.
Anyway, you get the idea.
Leaving menus.
So and again, you can adjust things here as well. So for example, I'm not sure what I'd want to adjust there necessarily, but well, if we went to the input section, for example, you can adjust and OCR the screen. You can adjust things like there's a noise gate, an overall noise gate that you can actually add. I haven't bothered because I've just done it with a stomp box because I thought that was going to be easier. But again, with the amp section, if I press the letter A now, that's going to take me to amp. And if I do OCR the screen here,
started Microsoft OCR, finished, generic, Kemper. Gain, bass, middle, treble, presence, EQ, position, amp, model, generic, gain, right, cap, int. Black, gain, bass,
middle, treble, presence, EQ, position, amp, model,
generic, gain,
generic, what's that?
left click.
No, that's fine. Gain, bright cap,
int period. Kemper.
Int, Kemper.
Generic.
Kemper generic. So that's the type of amp that's being used at the moment, by the looks of it.
Left click, context menu, K, Kemper generic
just clicked on that.
PV 5150, P, Kemper generic checked, K.
And you would change these, I suppose, if you were doing stuff around liquid profiling. Because now that we have that on the we've had it for a little while on the Kemper, but essentially liquid profiles it's amp modeling. It's actually in the Kemper now. It didn't used to be there, but it is. They added it. So yeah, that's quite useful, I suppose. Anyway, that's that. But let me just show you this. Let me just OCR the screen again because this is quite useful.
Microsoft OCR, finished.
This applies also in the slot section as well.
Definition, power, sagging, compressor, clarity, tube, shape, tube, bias, direct, mix, and volume. Black,
Definition, power,
sagging, compressor, clarity.
Compressor, so there's kind of like a compression thing you can do on the amp, which does make a difference. I've played with it.
Compressor, clarity,
tube, shape, tube, bias, direct mix, amp volume,
space, V,
and so on. So if when you're located over one of these controls, you move about 9 pixels down, because these are all controls,
Grey 16. Grey 16.
and you right click,
Right click. Context menu. R. Revert parameter to default. R.
revert parameter to default,
Revert parameter to stored value. R.
revert parameter to stored value.
Revert parameter to default. R. Leaving menus.
But also what you can do here is you can lock your mouse and you can then move the control up and down with either a mouse wheel, or you can just lock it with your screen reader keystrokes and do things that way as well. And as I say, this applies in other sections too. So if I was to pull up a slot, any old slot, it wouldn't really matter which one actually. Then I would see a load of controls. So for example, I happen to know there's a compressor in this second slot. So if I press number 2 on the numbers row, we OCR the screen.
Started. Microsoft OCR. Finished. Jupyter Store. Intensity squash volume.
It says intensity squash volume. And again, if we go down 9 pixels below each of those, then you can move those. I mean, Kemper could actually make these into proper sliders. Might be a bit more work for them to do that, but they could do that with values and tab orders and stuff. But I guess it depends how much they would want to do that. And I suspect that would be a bit more work for them. But again, in all of these parts of the Windows, if you press the keystroke that I've made, which I think this they should do though, is instead of having this done with a script, if they could make the preset button accessible, that would be really useful.
Context menu.
Because if I do that here,
Dash empty dash. Compressor preset submenu. Soft. Yes.
soft,
Hard.
hard,
Edge.
I've just got into compressor presets menu.
Soft. Yes.
Compressor
Compressor preset submenu. Dash empty dash. Compressor check submenu.
and
C.
you can see if I go further down, I just escaped out of there, it says compressor checked.
Compressor check submenu. Auto swell submenu. A. Compressor check submenu. Auto swell submenu. Load type. L. Load defaults. Load type.
And there's an auto swell thing there as well. That's interesting. I've not actually looked at that.
Auto swell sub. Compressor. Leaving menus.
Anyway, this gives you an idea of how this all essentially works and what you can do. And obviously, you don't have to do this in here. You can do all of this on the actual unit. And you can page left and right. There are page left and right controls on the unit. And the great thing is they do not wrap. So that's a definite plus because it does make it more usable. But anyway, that's just a quick overview on that. I mean, essentially it works the same in the input section, the output section. So I for input, O for output, A for amp, C for cabinet, and so on. But there is one little thing I did want to show you, which is really important before we finish off this. I think this will probably be the final look at Rig Manager, the kind of workings of it, as it were.
Slot 2. Left. Slot 1. Slot 5. Left click to name. Right click for other options.
So let me just left click on this one.
Left click.
Now that has brought up my Eric Clapton patch. I know that. I can just tell by listening to that. But it says slot 5, but we're not on slot 5. We're actually on slot 4, and that's because the window is not fully expanded because we can't see everything in the window. What would be really useful is if Kemper made keystrokes in the menu accessible. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got a little script here that I've done. Control Shift D, and it says drag window.
Drag window.
Now if I right click here,
Right click. Context menu. Yes. Scroll here. Yes.
scroll here,
Top. T.
top,
Bottom.
bottom,
B. Page up.
page
B.
up,
Page
page
down.
down,
B. Scroll up. Yes. Page down. B.
scroll up,
Scroll up. Scroll down. Yes.
scroll down,
Scroll here. Yes. Scroll. Page down.
etc. And
B.
then, so if we do go for the page down option, I'm just going to press enter.
Leaving menus.
I mean, they could actually just assign that to the page up and page down keystrokes. That would be hugely helpful. Now,
Slot 4. Left click. Slot 5. Left click.
if I click again
Left click.
on this, there we go. It's actually brought up the Steve Lukather patch that I modified. I can tell just by listening to that that is in fact what it is.
Slot 1. Left click to name. Right left click.
And let's put it back to slot 2, which is a bit quieter. It says slot 1, but it's not. It's actually slot 2. Now we can add favorites to Rig Manager with the keystroke Shift F, but here's the problem. There's no way of us getting to the favorites list. So even if you could actually add those, which we can, it's a bit pointless really. There's also the issue of being able to sort things by name, date, etc. Let me show you what I mean. So, because I thought, if I do Control A to select all and then run this little script, which I'm going to run in a second, that would do it for me. But no, it doesn't, or it doesn't appear to work here. because I think I thought it did work, and then I went back in and it changed it all back. But I'm going to show you this little script thing as well, because it's useful, because sometimes the column layout or whatever can get messed up and interesting things can happen to the sort of rig manager interface, and this can be a way of resetting it. So let's have a look at that now.
Context menu. Drop down submenu. Number. Name. 10.
This is number. I don't know what that is. Name. Date. Author. Comment. Tempo. Key. Tonality. Slot 1 name. Slot 2 name. Slot 4 name. Slot 5 name. Show all columns. Reset column layout. Use as default for new libraries of this type. I think that's what it said. And there we go. So we're back to the top again. But yeah, that could be a useful one for you to know about. As I say, with all of these little scripty things, if we had keystrokes, that'd be better. If anybody needs screen coordinates, you can always contact me at info@filmure.com, and I can give you a full list of those, or all the ones that I've found so far, and we can improve access for ourselves by either doing some scripting on the Mac or a little more scripting on Windows. So yeah, just get in touch, and I'm certainly very happy to help you out if I can. Oh, one more final one, which is kind of important. I just remembered. So I've done a script for opening things in separate windows, which is Control-Shift-O in this case.
Context menu. Drop down submenu. Open a new window. N. Leaving menus. Preview.
And you might be thinking, why would you do that?
Right click. Context menu. Drop down submenu. Open a new window. N. Leaving menus.
This is a right click menu as well. Well, the reason for that is you can then have, say, your performance open in one window, and you can have rigs open in the other. So you can then sort of go through, listen to different rigs and preview them and so on. And then if you just do Control-C and then literally just swap to the other window, that's it. It's gone into that performance slot, because that's just how it works.
Desktop.
Right. Anyway,
301.
I think that's it finally for Rig Manager.
Speech. Display checked. Speech. News. Scenes.
Sorry, this has been a bit of a scatty video, but there we are. Sometimes it's kind of tricky to explain things because you're kind of thinking about stuff as you go along, and it's still relatively new to me. Like I say, I think I only got it back on the 18th of February, something like that. So yeah, and to be honest, I haven't played as much with this as I could have, because I've just been enjoying using the Kemper, as one would. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. I hope that wasn't too much or too long, and I hope you found it helpful. I will make some more content shortly, and just showing how to put a performance together. I need to do that anyway, so I may as well video it, because I've got to make some bass performances, and I also want to make some acoustic performances for acoustic guitar. So I think that might be quite fun to perhaps video one of those. Anyway, as I say, you can always get hold of me at info@filmure.com. And as I say, if you want to book me to do any session work, I'd be very happy to do that for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.